Thank you once again for witnessing this debate and being judged to the current situation in our country. I would like to first begin by just reiterating some of the facts that my partner has brought up from the opposition or from the government side, excuse me, and just state why we believe that this current campaign season and election is not unique, but in fact is detrimental. Okay, media is inescapable. There's nothing that we can do. Even unless you go out on the Appalachian Trail, most people can still get service. Trust me, I have friends that have done that. The fact is that we can't escape the constant feed of information that is getting streamed at us, whether it is factual or not, or infactual. The thing is that it's based on exactly what the government said regarding whether it's the people's right and people's initiative to seek out that information. We agree that is true, but it doesn't change the fact that this is detrimental. That the political flavor is detrimental because of its lack of policy and value regarding the issues that we face in this country. Mud is still being slung. The tool or the slingshot or even the arm, the physical arm has been replaced by a technological device. It's mechanical. It's something that we as the people do not, we set in motion, but we do not maintain it. It is put into effect, and it is something that revolves around this technology that we cannot escape. But it does not make it unique in the fact that sources of news have been a part of America since the beginning of our history. We have not had the amount per se of actual sources or of channels, but that does not change the fact that we still have had access, and that was based on our own initiative. Accountability. Accountability, which the government stated was one of their contentions, is not something regarding the policy. It might be based on what they're wearing or what they're doing in their personal lives, which in my opinion is still a good thing, but it does not make it unique. Also, the heated debates that are brought on by these attacks, by these mudslinging techniques, do create heated debates, but they do not allow for political discourse to be changed in a positive way. In fact, it actually just makes it based simply on the personality of the slinger. Then I'd like to just go into a few of my thoughts regarding why we as opposition do not believe that this political season is unique in basing that on the history of this country, as well as considering how times have changed. Times have changed. We have technology. We have heated public displays of not affection, of the lack of affection for political candidates. We have things that limit and also expand our ability to get our hands on news. On the news that whatever political pundit is pushing at us, whatever one of our neighbors puts on their Twitter feed, it is there. But interest regarding the debates, whether they're heated or passive, does not equal intelligence on the actual issues that we face as a country. The powerful and volatile mudslinging limits the scope and the depth of the American political discourse, which is not unique based on the history of this country, as well as it is detrimental to the political issues that we as a nation face. Thank you.
Once again, I'd like to thank the audience on behalf of the Texas Zeta chapter of Pi Kappa Delta for watching this debate, the opposition for creating a great clash in this debate, and my partner for helping me through this debate here at TCU. If we look back 4 years ago, we see a country that was kind of in a state of not knowing where it was going. We had a slew of presidential candidates on both sides, and neither of them really knew where they were going, I think. And if we look specifically at Mitt Romney, he ran, some would say, a poor campaign, and based it solely on what he'd done, and he didn't get very far. In fact, he didn't get past his own party. And if we look 4 years later, today, he not only has won his Republican nomination, but he's kept it very close with the incumbent, President Obama. And he's also run a lot more attack ads, and he's thrown a lot more mud in the process. Which brings us back to the resolution today, pointing fingers, calling names, and learning lessons. The tone of political discourse has uniquely shaped the current campaign season. And I think that example right there shows it all. It has uniquely shaped it. It has brought more people into the mix. And it has changed for a positive. And the government thinks that they won on 3 voting points today. Voting point number 1 is that more people are turning out in the polls. You see more people coming out to vote. More voices being heard in the crowd. You have blue states voting for Republican senators and House officials, and so it has positively affected it by getting more people off their couch and into the polls to voice their opinion on how their country's run. Voting point number 2 is that sunshine and lollipops don't really get us anywhere, and by that I mean that running a passive, look at me, I'm so nice, campaign doesn't really bring to mind the important subjects that this country needs to be focusing on. You can see this in campus government. Campuses artificially control the campaigns. A lot of mudslinging and name-calling isn't allowed in these campaigns, and it presents kind of a transparent candidate. We don't know what the issues are. We don't know what their stances are. And so it becomes more of a prom king kind of campaign as opposed to someone who we want making decisions for us. And voting point number 3 is that it gets the more important issues out on the table. I think you've seen this in the other 2 voting points presented, but just reiterating, throwing accusations at one another, it gets a lot of issues out there on the table. It heats up things, and heated debates get more things on the table, more important things on the table, and people think more about these important things because if it's not on the table, people don't care. If the economy's not on the table, no one's going to look at it. If foreign policy's not on the table, no one's going to look at it. But this mudslinging and pointing fingers and calling names has created an enormous amount of clash in the candidates, gotten a lot of important topics out there on the table, and gotten their standpoint on these topics so that people are informed on how they're going to be running their country. So using these 3 voting points, the government feels that we've created a very strong case and that you should cast your ballot in favor of the government for the resolution, pointing fingers, calling names, and learning lessons. The tone of political discourse has uniquely shaped the current campaign season in a positive aspect. Thank you.